The council chamber was huge. It floated in space around a small moon called Vex Prime. The station was old and had seen many alien races come and go over thousands of years. Today, something different was about to happen. Ambassador Nicole Harper stood in the middle of the round chamber. She was alone. Around her, 7 council members sat on floating platforms that hung in the air above her. They did this on purpose to show they were more important than her. Nicole understood what they were doing. The Vortani council member spoke first. He had many eyes that blinked one after another. His voice was cold and formal. Ambassador Harper, we gave your people 3 days to think about our offer. What does humanity say? Nicole kept her face calm even though her heart was beating fast. 3 days. That was all the council had given Earth. They wanted humans to give up their freedom, destroy their military, and let the council rule them forever. If humans said no, the council promised to destroy Earth completely. Nicole took a deep breath. The answer is no. The chamber filled with strange sounds. The council members were shocked. They clicked, chirped, and made deep growling noises. A large creature named Zorvak leaned forward. He was from a race called the Krell. He looked like a giant lizard with rough scales and sharp teeth. Do you understand what you are refusing? Zorvak's voice was deep like thunder rolling across the sky. The council has 40,000 warships. Your species only has 200 small ships scattered in your corner of space. This is not brave, human. This is choosing to die. Nicole smiled a little. With respect, council member, your information about us is old. Another council member spoke up. This one was called a falchier. It was made of pure energy that glowed inside a crystal container. Its voice hummed when it talked. Are you saying your primitive species built a fleet that can fight the council? Your factories are tiny compared to even our smallest member worlds. I am saying that humans do not like threats, Nicole answered calmly. And we had more than 3 days to get ready. We had 3 years. 3 years? The Vortani sounded worried now. Since we first met you? Since the moment your scout ships came to our solar system and we learned we were not alone in the universe, Nicole explained. Humans have a saying. We hope for the best but prepare for the worst. When we learned about the council, we hoped we could be friends. But we also noticed something strange about your history. Nicole turned on a small device on her wrist. Pictures and information appeared in the air in front of everyone. In the last 500 years, the council found 42 new species. You made 38 of them give up their freedom right away. The other 4 said no, and you conquered them in a few months. Not one new species has become a real member of the council in over 300 years. The chamber became quiet. Everyone knew this was true. So we prepared, Nicole continued. Now we are ready to show you what humans can do when we work together, when we have a reason to fight and when we refuse to give up our freedom. Zorvak laughed, but it was not a friendly sound. Big words for someone standing alone in a room full of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Who says I am alone? Right then, every screen in the council chamber changed. A man's face appeared. He had gray hair and serious gray eyes. This was Admiral Jake Morrison. Council members, the Admiral said calmly but with a warning in his voice. This is Admiral Morrison of the United Earth Defense Fleet. I am speaking to you from the bridge of the carrier Independence. We just arrived in the Vex Prime system. I thought you should know that Ambassador Harper is not alone anymore. The Krell council member quickly checked his computer screens. His 3 rows of eyes went wide with shock. That is impossible, he whispered. What is? The Vortani demanded. Our sensors show 2,743 human ships in formation. They are 2 million kilometers from this station. The council chamber exploded with noise and confusion. Council members shouted at each other in different languages. Some could not believe what they were hearing. Others were clearly afraid. Nicole stood calmly in the middle of all the chaos. She had been waiting for this moment for 3 years. Every sacrifice, every long night, every resource that Earth had poured into building this fleet had led to this single moment. The Vortani council member finally got everyone to be quiet. He looked down at Nicole with anger and fear in his many eyes. This changes nothing, he said, but his voice was not as confident as before. Your fleet may be large, but our ships are better. We have technology that we have perfected over thousands of years. Your ships are new and untested. Your crews have never fought a real battle. Maybe that is true, Nicole agreed. But our ships have something yours do not have. And what is that? Admiral Morrison's voice came through the speakers again. That would be humanity's greatest weapon, Council member. We have determination. You see, your species have been comfortable for a long time. You have had peace for so long that you forgot what it means to fight for your life. Humans have been fighting each other for our entire history. We know war. We understand it. And we are very good at it. Nicole could see the council members looking at each other nervously. They had expected Earth to surrender. They had expected humans to be afraid. Instead, they found themselves facing something they had not seen in centuries. A species that refused to bow down. A species that was ready to fight for freedom no matter the cost. We did not want this, Nicole said, and her voice carried through the chamber. We wanted peace. We wanted friendship. We wanted to learn from you and share what we know. But you did not offer us friendship. You offered us chains with gentle words wrapped around them. You offered us slavery and called it protection. She looked at each council member in turn. So now we stand here with our fleet and we offer you a choice. Recognize Earth as a free and equal member of the galactic community, with all the rights that come with it, or try to force us to surrender and see what happens. The chamber was silent. Outside the station, thousands of human ships waited. Inside, one human ambassador stood alone but no longer powerless. The age of easy conquest was over. Humanity had arrived and nothing would ever be the same. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Independence. This was Earth's biggest ship, a huge carrier that could hold hundreds of smaller fighters. Around him, computer screens showed the positions of thousands of ships. Each one was proof of 3 years of hard work. Sir, the Council's defense fleet is moving, said Commander Lisa Grant. She was watching the tactical screens. I count 1,200 ships taking defensive positions around Vex Prime Station. That is what we expected, Jake replied. Communications, make sure every word from that council chamber is being sent to our entire fleet. I want everyone to hear what happens next. Yes, sir. Live transmission is active. On the main screen, the council station looked like a small moon. It had weapons all over it that could destroy planets. Around it, the council's defense fleet formed a wall of big warships. Each council ship was larger than anything humans had built before 3 years ago. But size was not everything. Jake had learned that in his 40 years as a soldier. Sometimes the smaller, faster fighter beat the bigger, slower opponent. All battle groups report your status, he ordered. The answers came quickly. Battle Group Defiance was ready, led by Captain Ben Rodriguez on the battleship Indomitable. Battle Group Liberty was prepared, commanded by Captain Emma Chen on the heavy cruiser Freedom's Call. Battle Group Vengeance was standing by under Captain Alex Turner. On and on, 27 battle groups reported in. Each had over 100 ships. All of them had been built in secret across every shipyard humans could make in 3 years. It had taken everything Earth had. Every resource, every skilled worker, every bit of determination. The moon had become a giant construction site. Mars had been turned into a factory world. The asteroid belt had been mined faster than ever before. Every ship, from the smallest corvette to the massive carriers, had been built with one goal: to make sure humanity would never bow to anyone. Admiral, the communications officer said, Ambassador Harper is talking to the council. Jake watched as Nicole appeared on a side screen. She looked small in that huge chamber, but her voice was strong. As you can see, council members, humanity came prepared. We do not want war, but we will not accept being controlled either. So here is what we propose. Recognize Earth as a free and equal member of the galactic community, with all rights that come with it, or face what happens when you try to force us to surrender. The Krell Council member Zorvak spoke up. He had recovered from his shock. You bring an impressive fleet, human, but numbers alone do not win wars. Our ships are built with technology that we have perfected over thousands of years. Your ships are new and untested. Your crews have never been in real combat. Perhaps, Nicole said, but our ships have something yours do not. And what is that? Jake smiled. This was his moment. That would be humanity's greatest weapon, council member, he said. His voice was now being sent directly into the council chamber. Determination. Your species have been comfortable for so long. You have had peace and forgot what it means to fight for survival. Humans have been fighting each other throughout our entire history. We know war. We understand it. And we are very good at it. He nodded to Commander Grant. Tactical, show them. Yes, sir. Target selection complete. All firing solutions locked. Around the Independence, 1,200 ships turned at the same time. It was perfect coordination. Their weapons systems turned on, targeting computers calculating exactly where to shoot. 3 years of constant training had made this possible. Council members, Jake continued, we have identified every weapon on Vex Prime Station, every shield generator, every critical system. Your defense fleet is impressive, but it is positioned wrong. You are ready to stop an invasion, not a precise strike. We can destroy every military installation on that station before your ships can react. But we will not. Why not? The Vortani Council member demanded. Because we are not here to prove we can destroy things. We are here to prove we deserve respect. There is a difference. The screen showed targeting data proving that the human fleet could cripple the station if they wanted to. The calculations were perfect. The coordination was flawless. Instead, Jake said, we will show you what we can do. He made a signal and the fleet began to move. They did not move toward the station. Instead, they moved into a complex pattern that would have taken council ships hours to create. The human fleet did it in 3 minutes. They formed the shape of Earth in space. 2,000 ships moving together perfectly, creating a 3-dimensional picture of humanity's homeworld. It rotated slowly where the council's sensors could see it clearly. Then the ships scattered and reformed into another pattern. This time they made the 7 symbols of the council races. Each symbol was displayed with respect and precision. We studied everything about you, Jake explained. Your culture, your technology, your tactics. We did this because we wanted to understand you. We wanted to find a way to live together peacefully. But we also did it because we needed to know how to fight you if we had to. The fleet reformed into a standard battle formation. Their weapons were still powered up, but not aimed at any targets. So here is the truth, council members. We do not want to be your enemies. But we refuse to be your subjects. The question now is simple. What do you want? In the council chamber, the members looked at each other. Some were angry. Some were afraid. Some looked impressed despite themselves. Nicole watched them carefully. She could see they were talking to each other in whispers and quiet electronic signals. The council had not faced a situation like this in centuries. They always had the bigger fleet. They always had better technology. They always won, but now they faced humans. A species that had taken 3 years to build a fleet that matched their defense forces. A species that refused to surrender even when facing overwhelming odds. A species that knew how to fight but also knew when to show restraint. The Vortani Council member finally spoke. You have made your point, Admiral Morrison. But this is not over. The Council must discuss this. We need time. You have time, Jake replied. But know this. My fleet will remain here. We will not attack unless attacked. But we will not leave until this matter is resolved. Earth will not surrender its freedom. Not today, not ever. The human ships held their formation in space, silent, powerful, and ready. They were a message written in steel and determination, a message that said humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they would not be ignored. The council chamber stayed quiet for a long time after Admiral Morrison's demonstration. Nicole Harper watched the 7 council members carefully. She tried to understand what they were thinking. The Vortani was thinking hard, his many eyes moving quickly. The Krell named Zorvak looked troubled. His massive body was tense. The Falshir energy being glowed with colors that might mean it was annoyed or interested. Then someone unexpected entered the chamber. A floating platform came in from a side door. On it sat an old Etherian. The Etherians were known for being peaceful and wise. This was High Chancellor Veramos. She was the leader of the council but rarely came to meetings anymore. Ambassador Harper. The Chancellor's voice was soft but clear. Admiral Morrison. I am Veramos. I believe I owe your species an apology. This caused surprise among the other council members, but the Chancellor raised her hand for silence. When your species was discovered, I was sick with an illness that has troubled me for a long time. I let my colleagues handle the first meetings with your people. I did not know they had chosen to use the old ways, the methods we used when the council was young and feared anything different. She looked at each of the other council members. We have become what we once fought against. We have become conquerors who use nice words to hide what we really do. Chancellor, with respect, the Vortani started to say. But Veramos stopped him. No, Vortan, there is no respect in what we have done. This human species built a fleet in 3 short years that matches our own defense forces. They did this while keeping their cities running, their arts alive and their different cultures intact. Do you know how long it took us to build our current defense fleet? 200 years, Vortan admitted quietly. Exactly. And we had established shipyards, perfected technology, and a unified government. The humans did not have these things. They had separate nations that had to learn to work together. They had limited resources. They had to invent new technology because they could not simply copy ours, and yet here they stand. Nicole felt hope growing inside her. Maybe there was a way to avoid war after all. But Zorvak was not convinced. Chancellor, with respect to your wisdom, we cannot simply accept this. If we let one species refuse our terms, others will follow. The Council's authority will fall apart. Perhaps, Veramus replied, or perhaps our authority needs to change. Tell me, Council Member Zorvak, when was the last time a member species contributed something truly new to Council technology? The Krell Council member shifted uncomfortably. It has been some time. 147 years, the Chancellor corrected him. Because we do not allow new species to create new things. We force them to use our ways, our technology, our methods. We stop growing while calling it stability. She turned to Nicole. Ambassador Harper, I want to understand something. Your fleet is impressive, but fighting the full Council military would still be terrible for your species. You must know this. So why resist so completely? Why not accept our protection and work toward independence slowly over time? Nicole had been ready for this question for 3 years. Chancellor, I appreciate your wisdom, and I hear the real concern in your voice. But the answer is simple. Because freedom that is delayed is freedom that never comes. We studied the history of every protected species in Council space. Not one has ever achieved independence. Not one has ever been offered real membership. The protection status is permanent slavery with a nice name. She speaks the truth, a new voice said. Nicole turned to see another platform entering the chamber. On it was a Mintar, a species she recognized from her studies. I am Ambassador Kree of Mintar. My species has been under Council protection for 312 years. We have asked for full membership 47 times. Each time we were told no. The Mintar have not yet shown enough technological progress, Vortan said, but his voice was weak. Because we are not allowed to develop our own technology, Kree replied sharply. We must use Council-approved designs and Council-approved methods. Creating new things is discouraged as destabilizing. We are children who are never allowed to grow up. Jake Morrison's voice came through the communication system again. This is what we refuse, Council members. Not cooperation. Not peace. Not even guidance from those with more experience. We refuse permanent second-class status. We are willing to earn our place as equals, but we will not accept inequality as a permanent condition. Nicole saw her chance. I propose something different. Grant humanity temporary membership status with a clear path to full membership based on real achievements. Allow us to keep our freedom and our military. In exchange, we will participate in Council affairs, contribute our resources and new ideas to everyone's benefit, and prove that we deserve to stand as equals. This has never been done before. The Vortani Council member protested. Good, Nicole replied. New is exactly what this moment needs. Suddenly, loud alarms started blaring throughout the station. Commander Grant's voice came through urgently. Admiral, we have multiple ships arriving. Reading is, oh no. Report, Jake demanded. Sir, the Council's third fleet just arrived in the system. 2,000 ships in heavy combat formation. They are forming up to attack our position. On the screen, Nicole saw the Admiral's face become hard and serious. Time until they reach us? 18 minutes at their current speed. In the Council chamber, Zorvak smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. It seems the decision has been made for us. The third fleet was waiting in reserve to see if talking would work. Apparently, the fleet commander has decided to treat your presence as an act of war. Call them off, Nicole demanded. I am afraid I do not have that power once they have begun their attack, Zorvak replied. He did not sound very sorry about it. Chancellor Viramos looked shocked and upset. This is not what I wanted. Council member Zorvak, surely you can do something. The fleet commander only answers to a full council vote in emergency situations, he interrupted. And we have not voted yet. Nicole's mind worked fast. 17 minutes until the biggest battle in human history, a battle that would decide whether her species lived free or died fighting. Admiral Morrison, she said clearly, you have my permission to defend the fleet. Understood, Ambassador. Jake's voice was steady. He was a man who had prepared for this moment. All ships, this is Morrison. Battle stations. Prepare for combat. This is not a drill. All across human space, on Earth and Mars and the Moon and every outpost and colony, billions of people watched their screens as humanity's fleet prepared for war. Parents held their children. Leaders stood in their command centers. Workers stopped what they were doing. Everyone watched and waited to see if humanity would survive the next hour. Admiral Jake Morrison watched the tactical display as the Council's Third Fleet came toward them fast. 2,000 heavy warships against his 2,700 vessels. On paper, it should be a close fight. But Jake knew that real war was never simple. All carriers launch your fighters. Battleships form a defensive screen. Cruisers and destroyers get ready for rapid movement tactics. We are not going to fight them head-on, sir. Commander Grant looked confused. We have more ships. A direct fight would work better. Would result in massive deaths on both sides, Jake finished her thought. And that is exactly what we are trying to avoid. We are not here to win a battle. We are here to prove a point. He turned on the fleet-wide channel so every captain could hear him. All captains, this is Morrison. You have trained for 3 years for this moment. You know what to do. Remember, we are not trying to destroy the Council fleet. We are showing them that we can. There is a difference. Precision over destruction. Disable their ships, do not kill them. Let's show them what humanity can do. Captain Ben Rodriguez's voice came through from the Indomitable. Battle Group Defiance is ready, Admiral. We will hold the center line. Battle Group Liberty ready, Captain Emma Chen reported. Fast attack groups are moving to the sides. One by one, the battle groups confirmed they were ready. Jake felt proud. These were Earth's best people. Volunteers from every nation, every background, all united by one purpose. Admiral, the Council fleet is breaking into 3 groups, Grant reported. Classic hammer and anvil formation. They are going to try to surround us. Let them think they can, Jake replied calmly. Wait until they commit to the formation. Then we show them what our ships can really do. In the council chamber, Nicole Harper watched the same tactical display with fear in her heart. She had seen the battle practice runs hundreds of times, but watching it happen for real was terrifying. Chancellor Viramo stood beside her now. Your admiral is not ordering his ships to fire. He is waiting, Nicole explained. Watch, the council fleet moved forward. Their formation was perfect. Their approach was textbook standard. The middle group would hit the human fleet directly, while the 2 side groups would sweep around and crush them from both sides. It had worked for the Council for hundreds of years, but humanity had studied those hundreds of years. Now, Jake ordered quietly. The human fleet exploded into action. Every ship fired their movement engines at the same time, breaking from their defensive formation into hundreds of smaller groups. They moved with speed and precision that no Council fleet had ever shown. Each group did complex movements that seemed random but were carefully planned. What are they doing? Zorvak demanded, staring at the display in confusion. They are swarming, Ambassador Kree of the Mintar said with wonder in his voice. I have read about this in human military history. They call it distributed tactics. No single target to aim for. No predictable formation to counter. The Council fleet tried to adjust, but their old methods were not designed for this. They were built for big ship-to-ship battles, for formations and organized attacks. The human fleet was fighting like a school of fish against whales. Individually weaker but much more mobile. Strike craft away, Grant reported. 3,000 fighters and bombers approaching the Council fleet. The Council ships opened fire with their defense weapons, but the human pilots flew in patterns that seemed impossible. They weaved through defensive fire with skill that could only come from a species that had been flying combat aircraft for over a century before reaching space. Captain Rodriguez, begin your run, Jake ordered. The battleship Indomitable and 20 other heavy battleships suddenly sped up toward the Council fleet's center. Their shields glowed as Council weapons hit them, but they did not slow down. Are they insane? Fortin shouted. They're going to crash into us. But at the last moment, the battleships dove under the Council formation. Their top weapons fired precisely targeted shots. Not at the Council ship's main structures, but at their weapon systems, their shield generators, their sensor arrays. 20 Council battleships suddenly went dark. Their systems were disabled, but their crews were safe and unharmed. Impossible, Zorvak breathed. That level of precision in the middle of combat is not possible. Battle Group Liberty, your turn, Jake said. From the sides, Emma Chen's cruiser force swept in, moving at speeds that seemed reckless. They hit the Council's side forces, but instead of trading shots, They targeted specific systems with surgical precision. The Council fleet was confused now. Their formation was broken. Their tactics were not working. But they were experienced warriors and they learned fast. The Council ships began to break into their own smaller formations, trying to match the human tactics. They are learning, Grant observed. Good, Jake replied. That means they are smart enough to survive. All ships begin Phase 2. Phase 2 was the riskiest part of the plan. The human fleet suddenly stopped fighting. Every ship pulled back, forming a new defensive circle around the Independence. The Council fleet regrouped, careful now. They had lost nearly 300 ships to disabled systems, without a single loss on the human side. But they still had more combat-ready ships. Why are they stopping? Zorvac demanded. Nicole knew why. Because they have made their point. Admiral Morrison, you are sending this to them, are you not? Jake's face appeared on the main display. I am, Ambassador. Council Fleet Commander, this is Admiral Morrison. I am sending you the access codes to every system we disabled on your ships. Your engineering crews can have them working again in about 30 minutes. We disabled them to show you that we could have destroyed them. But we did not. The Council chamber was silent. We have worked for 3 years to build this fleet, Jake continued. Not because we wanted war, but because we refused to give up our freedom without a fight. But we also built it hoping we would never have to use it for its real purpose. Today we have shown you that we can fight. Now we are showing you that we also know when not to. He paused, looking directly into the camera. We are willing to end this now with honor on both sides. Or we can continue, and I promise you, the result will be far more costly for everyone. The choice is yours. In the Council chamber, Chancellor Veramos turned to the other Council members. I believe we have our answer. This species does not simply know how to fight. They know when to fight and when to show mercy. These are qualities we once valued above all others. I call for a vote right now. Do we recognize humanity's freedom and offer them the temporary membership Ambassador Harper proposed? The vote took less than 5 minutes. In the end, every Council member voted yes. Nicole suspected that several of them voted yes more from shock than real agreement. But the result was what mattered. Humanity got temporary membership status. They had a clear path to full membership within 25 years, based on their participation in Council matters and what they could contribute. Most importantly, Earth kept its freedom and the right to have its own military. It was not everything Nicole had hoped for, but it was more than she had dared to dream when she first entered the Council chamber that morning. Admiral Jake Morrison ordered the fleet to stand down, though they kept their formation just in case. The Council's Third Fleet began recovery work on their disabled ships. True to Jake's word, every system came back online exactly as promised. 1 week later, Nicole stood in the newly built Embassy of Earth on the Council station. The building was small compared to the other embassies, but it was theirs. It was paid for with human resources and stood as a symbol of humanity's new place in the galaxy. Admiral Morrison joined her. He now wore a diplomatic uniform instead of his battle gear. Together they looked out at the space traffic flowing around Vex Prime. Council ships, merchant vessels from 100 species, and now, for the first time, human vessels flying openly with full diplomatic rights. We did it, Nicole said softly. We did, Jake agreed. Though I never want to come that close again. Did you know that if the Council fleet had kept attacking instead of accepting our ceasefire, we would have run out of ammunition in about 40 minutes? Nicole's eyes went wide. You are joking. I wish I was. We built the ships fast, but making ammunition could not keep up. We had enough for 1 good fight, maybe 2 if we were lucky. After that, he shrugged. Well, we would have had to get creative. You are telling me we bluffed our way into membership? I am saying we prepared for every possibility we could, and we got lucky that we did not have to use our last options. He smiled. But that is the thing about being human. We are very good at making things up as we go. A message alert sounded on Nicole's display. She read it and laughed. You are going to love this. Captain Emma Chen just got invited to speak at the Council's Advanced Tactics Academy. Apparently, they want to learn about rapid formation changes and distributed combat tactics. In other words, they want to know how we beat them without firing a single killing shot. Exactly. Jake walked to the window, looking out at Earth's fleet forming up for the trip home. Most of the ships would return to their bases, but several dozen would stay here as permanent embassy guards and diplomatic escorts. What do you think happens now? he asked. Nicole thought carefully. Now the real work begins. Building relationships, proving we are more than just our military power. Showing that humanity deserves to be here not because we can fight, but because we can contribute. Ambassador Kree of the Mintar has already reached out. His species wants to work with us on a joint petition for their full membership status. That could make things complicated. Or it could show the Council that we are serious about changing how they work. That we are not just here for ourselves. She pulled up several reports on her display. We already have 3 offers for technology exchange programs, 2 requests for cultural ambassadors, and someone from the Etherean Science Collective wants to work with us on a new engine design. A week ago, they wanted us to surrender, and now they want to work with us. It is amazing what a little show of ability can do. Nicole smiled. Plus, I think Chancellor Veramos is making it very clear that anyone who wants to stay in her good graces should give humanity a fair chance. She reminds me of my grandmother, Jake said. Seems sweet and gentle, but has a core of pure steel. They stood quietly for a moment watching the stars. You know what the crazy part is? Nicole finally said. This almost did not happen. If the Council had been just a little more reasonable in their first offer, if they had given us any path toward real membership, we might have accepted. We only built this fleet because they gave us no other choice. Maybe that is the lesson, Jake replied. Never back humans into a corner. We do our best work when we are desperate. Or maybe the lesson is that freedom is worth fighting for, and sometimes the threat of force is the only language some people understand. She turned from the window. Come on, we have a reception tonight with the other ambassadors. Time to start building those relationships. Do I have to wear the fancy uniform? You are a hero who stared down the Council's fleet and won without firing a killing shot. You can wear whatever you want. As they left the embassy, Nicole took one last look at the Council station, at the hundreds of species going about their daily lives. Now humans were among them. It had not been the peaceful first contact that humanity had dreamed of, but perhaps it was the one they needed. Humanity had shown the galaxy what they were capable of. Now they had the chance to show what they stood for. Back on Earth, the celebrations continued. Not because they had won a war, but because they had won something more important, the right to choose their own future. The massive shipyards that had built the fleet in secret were being changed for civilian use, for colony ships that would carry humanity to new worlds, for research vessels that would explore unknown parts of space. Captain Ben Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of the Indomitable as it entered Earth orbit. He watched his home planet shine blue and green below. His crew stood with him, tired but proud. On Mars, the factories that had worked triple shifts for 3 years finally slowed to normal production. Workers celebrated in the domed cities, proud of what they had done. Every piece, every circuit, every armor plate of those ships had been made by human hands and human determination. On the moon base, the shipyards fell silent for the first time in years. The workers gathered in the massive viewing areas, looking out at the fleet they had built, now going to their new assignments across human space. And in a small town in Colorado, a young girl named Sophie looked up at the night sky with her father. She had watched the broadcasts, had seen the ships her father helped design face down the Council's fleet. Dad, she asked, are we safe now? Her father, an engineer who had barely slept in 3 years, pulled her close. I do not know if we will ever be completely safe, sweetie. The universe is a big, sometimes dangerous place. But I know this. We prove that humanity does not give up. We prove that we can stand on our own, that we deserve respect. That is something no one can take away from us. When I grow up, Sophie said, I want to be a starship captain. Then you will be, her father promised, because now anything is possible. Humanity had entered the galactic stage and they had done it on their own terms. The future was uncertain, full of challenges and opportunities. But for the first time in 3 years there was real hope. Hope that humanity could find its place among the stars. Hope that they could make a difference. Hope that freedom once won could be kept.